In this tutorial, we will build a network dataset. You see I have a file geodatabase here named Downtown Walkability Study. This is an efficient way of organizing your spatial datasets. If you're working with shapefiles, let's first create a new file geodatabase. Right-click on the folder where you want to create a geodatabase and go to New File Geodatabase. The next step is to create a new feature dataset, which is something like a folder holding a number of feature classes. You need to set a spatial reference, which will apply to all the feature classes under the feature dataset. Here we're using Georgia West state plane, which you can search by 2240. That's the one we're using. All right, we don't need a z-value or a vertical coordinate system, so you can skip this and just finish. All right, now you have a feature dataset and you can either create a new feature class or import a feature class from a shapefile. Right, after you import that, you should have something like this with a feature dataset containing your straight network layer. Then you can right-click on the feature dataset and create a new network dataset. Change the name if you want and click Next. Here we have to select the feature classes you want to include in network dataset. We're using road segments here. The reason we're not using roads, the only difference between these two layers is that roads have each straight as a single polyline, and road segment have the roads broken down at intersections. And the reason we're doing that is because we don't have a point layer representing straight intersections, and the network dataset will only recognize connections at the vertices or endpoints of the line features. So if we're using the roads layer, the network will treat crossing roads as if they're not connected, like a bridge over a road. Alright, click Next. Click Next. Here you can specify connectivity. In this example, we will accept the default setting, which is using the endpoints of road segments. We don't have elevation information in the dataset, so you can just skip this. And here we can set the attributes by which best routes are calculated. The default cost measure is length, which measures the length along the network in feet. But we might also want to know the walking distance in time. So let's add time as a cost measure. Select minutes as a unit, and you can check this box so time instead of length will be used as a default cost measure. You see the warning sign here because we don't have evaluators for time yet, so go to evaluators. And we don't have a field including the time information, so we have to do some calculation. And we're gonna calculate average walking time based on the length field. We can assume the walking speed like 4.5 feet per second, which will be about 270 feet per minute. Click the drop-down menu next to road segments and choose function and open evaluator properties to define the function. So length divided by 270. Then do the same for to from, which is the other direction along the edge. Now every 270 feet along the straight network will be equivalent to a minute of walking time. You can also set a time penalty for turns because we typically spend a little longer at the intersection. So when you're setting the evaluators for time, you can go to Default Values tab, and you see one of the elements is turn here. You can choose Global Turn Delay, and again open the evaluator properties. You see there are 4 types of turns, and these are default delay time in seconds, and this is based on driving. With walking, we want to set a little longer delay, say 15 seconds. Now there's no delay for the first type of turns because there's no roads crossed. Okay, in the next page, set the travel mode to walk. And you see time here is automatically loaded as the impedance because we previously checked the box to make that default measure. U-turns are allowed, obviously, for walking. You can just turn whenever you want. We don't need driving directions, but it would be nice to have walking directions. Click directions to set street name to the field containing the names of the streets, which is called full name. Alright, this is optional. If you want to do a lot of service area analysis, you might want to build the index for it. Okay, now you see a summary of all your settings for the network dataset. Click Finish. And then you have to build it before you can use it. Now you see there are two new items under your feature dataset. One is this straight network dataset that we just built, and the other is a point layer representing all the intersections.